Hello, Jumrepsu, and welcome to another day of Khmer Conversation. For a little bit now, we're going to start this new book called a Lexicarry. Basically, it's different situations that you would meet, and we'll talk through the conversation on them. Many of them will be review, and some will be new. So, as you can see in the three pictures here, they're actually saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. In Khmer, while there are words, they are very seldom used. And so, we're just going to do something that's more applicable to Khmer, and that is from most formal to least formal. So number one will be the most formal, with three being the least formal. So when you meet somebody, most formal way would be right here, Jumriep Sua. They would answer back Jumriep Sua. And to say goodbye, Jumriep Lia, Jumriep Lia. So that's that one. Go ahead and practice. When I point to it, I'll give you a second or two to say it, and then I'll repeat it to confirm. Okay. Jumriep Sua, Jumriep Lia. Sorry, Jumriep Sua is right there. I'm sorry. Jumriep Lia, Jumriep Lia. Okay, the next one, the more relaxed way would be Suasadai, right? So this person would say Suasadai. This person would also answer back Suasadai. And then an informal way of saying goodbye, Lia Howie, Lia Howie. All right, so what is this one? Correct, they would answer back Suasadai, same thing. And Lia Howie, different way. The least formal, or just with friends, is actually asking the question, how are you, to meet somebody. And that would be to say, Sok sabai te? And this person would answer, Sok sabai. You normally don't have to ask them back how they're doing. You can just answer Sok sabai. They ask Sok sabai te, you answer Sok sabai. And then for the least formal, one you'll hear, so we'll just throw it out there, bye-bye. If you do say bye, say it twice. So bye-bye. All right, so least formal way of meeting someone actually means how are you? Sok sabai te is the question, the answer. Sok sabai and bye-bye. All right, so that is number 1 through 3 there. For number 4, I'm just going to leave the first one blank. I know in English, when someone sneezes or something like that, we say bless you or something like that. But in Khmer, there's not really anything specific that they say every time. So we're just going to go on to the second part of that there. And what I would probably say is somto, or it would mean excuse me, or I'm sorry. So if something like that happens, somto, which you already know as I'm sorry, or please forgive me, or excuse me, can be used as any of them. Number 5, if you look over to the right side, you can see that they're giving the time. So the man in red, and number 5 is asking the time. How do you ask what time is it? Maung pun man. Please repeat. Maung pun man. Then the answer over here on the right, we've talked a little bit about this before, but if it's an o'clock, we just say mang moi, mang pi, mang bai, mang pramoy, something like that. If it's 6:15, for instance, mang pramoy dot pram, you just say 6:15, just like English. The one exception, there are more than that, more than just this one, but one of the most common exceptions would be 6:30, for instance. We haven't really talked about numbers bigger than 20, but after we get up into the 30s, 40s, 50s, every number, for instance, the word 30 is samsip, 40 is saisip, 50 hasip, hoksip, jetsip, biatsip, gausip. They all have sip after them, and the word for 30 is samsip. So if you were to say, for instance, let's go to this one, 6:35. I want to say this one first, and then I'll get to the exception. But 6:35 would be Maung Promui Sam Sep Pram. But often in spoken language, we just say Sam Pram. We skip out the Sep. Maung Promui Sam Pram. But the exception I want to talk about is only, for instance, 30, half past the hour. And we would say half. So Maung Promui, and the word for half is Gon La. Gon La. Let me write that out. So gone. La has the air after it. Gone la. I don't know why I put an N there. I apologize for that. Gone la. Gone la. Mong 6 còn la. Mong 7 còn la. And then this person would just answer back, thank you. Good. So how do we ask what time it is? Mong ប៉ុន្មាន and let's say that it's 2:10. Mong 2:10. Okay, and good. All right, this one I'm going to change a little bit. If these two people are talking and this person wants to interrupt, an easy way would be to say sum to and probably say something like sum to bong, sum to om, sum to po, whatever you would call them, sum to. And then this person would say yes or what. And in Khmer, that would be bad. Or for females, cha. So males will say bad. Yes. What do you want? And then they would be able to continue their conversation. So they would just say somto, and this person would say bad, and you could continue your conversation. That's that one. Quite simple. Going on, as you can see in number 7 here, we have two people that ran into each other. The person that ran into him, knocked him down, would say somto, excuse me, or I'm sorry. And then the person that was done the wrong could say at aite. Okay, you've already learned this one for no thank you. It also means it's okay, no problem. At aite, there's nothing, and it's okay, it's nothing. So at aite for the answer for that one. And this one, because there's nothing new, we don't really need to review it. The next one, knocking on the door. You'll notice if you've gone to visit many Khmer houses, a lot of times doors are left open during the day. So if you do knock on the door, or whether you call in the house if the door is open, if you go to somebody that you don't know, you would say bong ti da or bong so ka or whatever their name is. You would just yell it from outside, maybe while you're knocking. But if you don't know who it is, what Khmers normally say is macha. Macha. That has the H after it. Macha ptea. Macha ptea. Now you know the word for ptea is house. You already know that. And macha is like master or the owner. Yes, it could be owner as well too. The one in charge, something like that. Macha ptea. So basically, you're calling the house owner or whoever's in charge there to come to the door. That's the way you can call them. So you already know the word ptea, but macha, with an H sound. Macha ptea, as you would knock or just call in the door if it happened to be open. I'm going to give you 3 different answers here. The first one is that they might say is net na gay. Who is it? Net na gay. So net is net na is the word who. Net na, and then gay. Net na gay is who is it? And it's a little bit of a colloquial, so we're not gonna translate each word separately because it is quite different when you translate it. But it just means who is it? Net na gay, and this would be your accent. Net na gay. All right, who is it? Another answer that you might get is Joel ban. You've already heard the word Joel, and that means to enter. Now, the word for like, if you say I like something, Joel jet is your heart. So you're saying this thing enters my heart. I like it. But the word Joel, you already know that one. Joel, ban. And ban here means can. Yes, you can. If you ask for permission for something, you would say ban, odd, can I or not? And or ban, they, you'll hear that one a lot. So this is Joel ban would be a question. Joel ban. I'm sorry, it's not a question. This is what somebody would say from the inside. Joel ban, to say come in. Okay. For instance, if you hear somebody answer inside and you want to ask, can I come in? You say Joel ban they, can I come in? But for the answer of the person inside, they would say Joel ban, meaning come in. The third answer I want to give you is wait a minute or wait a second. Is something they might say when you knock on the door, and that is jam. Jam means to wait. Jam plet. And I'm just going to put a short E there. It is a little bit more like an A, but for now that pronunciation will at least get you where you need to go. Jam plet. Just a minute. is the third answer they might give you. And once again, there is your accent. Ja mo plet. All right. So when we knock on the door, I'll say it. You repeat after me. Bajap there. Right? Bajap there. First answer, who is it? Or question rather. Net nake. Net nake. And come in. Chol ban. Chol ban. And the last one, just a moment. Jamu plet. Jamu plet. Okay? And that you can use for anything. If somebody asks you for something, they ask you whatever, you can say, Jamu plet, just a minute, just a second. Okay, that's a good one to know. The last one we're going to learn for today is a beggar. And their traditional words, they say, is please 100. Originally meaning 100 real. Can I have 100 real? They don't use the word real, but for most part, the beggars would say som, which you already know, maroi, which is 100. Som maroi, som maroi. That one's easy. The answer, I chose to use this one because we want to get this into our conversation. This would be something like here you go, or go ahead, or like I invite you to take it, I invite you to do something like that. You'll hear this one a lot. It's very polite. And the word is som on chön. Som on chön. So let me write that out. You already know the word som, so I'm not going to write that. On has that onion. On. I believe in English we read it NH. I don't know why I drew a blank there. Joan. Is it NY? No, I think it's NY, but it's not any. It's the yo. On Joan. Maybe that would be the better way of writing it. I think I'm doing it right. Som on Joan, with probably needs a Y there, but som on Joan. On, and I apologize here. I forgot on. It needs to have a W there. On. Som on Joan. On Joan. Today we're going to learn that letter yo, so it'll make it a little easier later. You'll have an actual letter to put to that. But som on Joan. Som on Joan. If you were to say, if somebody were to come to your house and you want to invite them in, you could say Jolban, but a polite way to do it would be som on Joan. If two people were walking toward the door and you stopped and wanted to let them go first, som on Joan. If you're giving somebody something, a polite way to give it to them is to hold out your hand and say som on Joan. So it's used many different times. In fact, if we're in a school or a church setting and we want to politely say please stand, we would say som an Joan cho. Som an Joan angkoi. It's just a polite way of saying things. So you'll hear it a lot. It doesn't have just one translation in English. So don't get confused with that. It does not necessarily mean just one thing, but it's a polite way of when you give somebody something, when you ask somebody to do something, say som an Joan. And then the guy would probably say, thank you. Now, I did want to mention this because if you can say this, sometimes people will think it's funny. They'll think that you speak like a Khmer. Something that a beggar would probably say is, Akun ayut maroi, ayut maroi. You know the word ayut? We learned it when we said ayut man. How old are you? So it means age or old. And then man is how many? I'm sorry, not Badman, ayut Badman. How old are you? But in this case, we say ayut maroi, which is 100. So basically, he's saying, may you live to be 100. In our English language, we would say long life, long life. But if somebody gives you something, whether fruit or something like that, somebody does something for you, you can say jokingly, ayut maroi, ayut maroi. It's sort of funny to them to say that. Maybe to the beggar it would be an actual blessing, but amongst friends, it's okay to joke around like that. Ayut maroi, meaning long life, long life. All right, so that is it for that conversation. I hope you enjoy this Lexicarry. and that it will help you with more practical conversation, everyday things you would meet. All right, have a great day. Goodbye.